So when you take on a TV writing project, how much information does the network give you ahead of time?
It depends. So sometimes they'll come to me, well, it'll be either the network or a producer. So they can come from either. But sometimes it'll just be a title. So for example, we have, for Lifetime, we've done a franchise of different movies. Like we've done the At 17 series. So we've got several titles that have At 17 or The Perfect or The Online. So they'll come back to the producer usually and say, we want to do another installment of the At 17 series. And so how about this title? And then we kind of get together and I come up with some ideas and run them past the producer, and then we send them to the network and we see what they say, and if they like them, then we develop them. So it can be that way. It can come from the other way. When I did The Bride He Bought Online, which I wrote and then directed for Lifetime, it was actually, I had written that as a horror movie and was going to direct it and crowdfund and direct that as a low-budget horror, and then ended up pitching it because they had said, well, we're looking for some we're looking for a thriller with teenagers. And so I thought, well, this one easily adapts, so all I have to do is sort of make it less horror-y and more thrillery, and I did that. And so, it can come that direction too. So that one came from me, and then they liked that. So it's just understanding those needs that they have and fulfilling it. And sometimes they come to you and sometimes you come to them. That it's always a very collaborative relationship. But by the time it gets made, it's gone through a lot of people's hands and ideas. And
fascinating. So let's suppose it's one of these where someone throws a title at you. Mm-hmm. So they say, you know what, let's meet in 2 weeks. What's your process going to be like for those 2 weeks to come up with? I mean, I'm not even sure. Are they even giving you sort of a synopsis of who this character is, or no? They're just
sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Wow. A lot of times they'll just say, it needs to be a female lead this age. We're looking for a thriller. It has to be contained. It has to be, a lot of times they'll tell the budget level. So, because that makes a big difference in, how many locations you have and that kind of thing. So then you just come up with some ideas that can fit, and then they either spark to those ideas or they don't. And a lot of times it's like, well, I like that idea, but we're doing something kind of similar. What if she did this instead? And so that's how it comes about. So those conversations end up becoming the basis for whatever you're going to write.
So then in those 2 weeks, I mean, do you have sort of almost a composite of main characters in your head? Like, I can see this happening to this person, I'm just wondering, that sounds fascinating.
No, not really. I think I just kind of come up with those. I start thinking about it at the spur of the moment. So a lot of times I'll get inspiration, like I'll watch a few movies and see what they've done lately. And then I'll think like, well, this is sort of an interesting what they did. This was unique. What if we did something like this? Or I have never seen a character who is agoraphobic. So let's give her that. And like, that'll kind of bring an interesting element to it. So those types of things. And I think also I just read a lot. I'm always looking for interesting articles about crime and stuff like that, because truth is stranger than fiction a lot of times. So you can find out interesting things that you don't even know exist, like diseases and psychoses and the way people get away with something for so long. And so taking those elements and sort of just collecting those and having them always ready, I think kind of helps a lot too.
Interesting. So you're always sort of just an avid reader of various things, yes. Whether it's like a police crime blotter in the local paper.
I read all of that kind of stuff, yes.
And then you just kind of file it away.
I do.
Interesting.
Yeah. And when I find something really interesting, sometimes it'll be interesting enough that I'll say, we should maybe do this story. But usually by the time you've pitched it, 10 other people have pitched that. If it's already made headlines, 10 other people have already pitched that story to them. So it's just keeping that kind of stuff in mind so that when you're writing, you go, oh, this would be really interesting, and I haven't seen it before.